morning all good morning. It's coffee time again. So, yesterday I spoke about William Gibson's Neuromancer, or the Sprawl Trilogy as it's known. And today, another one of my favourite books is Charles DeLint, Some Place to Be Flying. I think it's backwards because I'm using it doing my phone. Yeah, in fact I like all of Charles DeLint's work, but this one particular book is my favourite. Well, William Gibson is cyberpunk, it's industrial, it's like KMFDM. This is more like Clannad or Fairport Convention. And the story behind Some Place to Be Flying, if you haven't read it, it's about people. Excuse me, coffee. It's about the people and the relationship between people, and the fact that you have people, humans, but they're descended from different animals, where, we may all be descended from monkeys. Charles DeLint says, well, some of us are descended from canines, and some of us are descended from birds, and it's the relationship between bird people and dog people, with a smattering of, I think, a reinterpretation of First Nations mythology. Coyotes in there, the trickster god. It's folky. It's like folk magic, folk music. It's a really easy. It's got a nice twist, and the plot runs at a nice speed, and it's just a really. It's a book that draws you in, and you want it. It's just a good book. Can't say any more than that about it. It's one of my personal favourites. Some Place to Be Flying by Charles DeLint. Probably resonates with me a little bit more now because of the crow people and where I live, and some of my neighbours are definitely crow people. So yeah, it does resonate quite a lot. Right, so what's happening on the socials today, he says. Come here. I haven't even looked yet, it's just gone 7:30 in the morning. I've lit the fire for a little bit of warmth down here and to get some heat through the house. So I haven't seen anything. We went out yesterday, we spent the day in Cardiff. We went down City Road. Now, City Road and not Albany Street, but yeah, it's definitely City Road, and where's the other one? Clifton Street. And nice and multicultural, and we had Persian food. It was lovely, and you should be able to appreciate the fact you can jump in a car and drive for less than an hour and be able to sample Persian food or Lebanese food, Korean food, Vietnamese proper food. When I was a kid, there was an Indian takeaway in town and a chip shop. It was run by Chinese, but it was fish and chips. It wasn't Chinese meals, and that was it really. So all this choice, this is part of living in the future. I suppose living in the future would have been a bit more Blade Runner-y, and we'd all be eating noodles off street stalls. And in parts of this country, you can eat noodles off a street stall. Street food's a big thing. So yeah. Trending. Oh, it's trending. Oh. Cultural appropriation. Oh, that's a really. That is a really, really difficult issue. I don't think it's as simple as, we've just had Halloween and there's a thing been going round for Halloween. Don't dress up as sexy Pocahontas. Well, I didn't, but there's a thing going around. Don't dress up in First Nations costumes. Our culture is not a costume. Yeah, kind of agree with that. But the other side of the argument, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and I am not trying to be deliberately argumentative or trolling, is First Nations people use smartphones and drive pickup trucks and, no longer, well, there was only ever like one tribe lived in teepees, but, it was sort of from a European Englishman, all First Nations, everyone had a tomahawk headdress and a teepee, which is complete and utter rubbish. They're all very different sort of things, but, First Nations people, they drive cars, they use smartphones, they wear jeans, they wear, blouses and suits and all the rest of it. So, is that very culturally appropriating as well? For devil's advocate, it is. So, see, as a magician, somebody who practices magic, the cultural appropriation argument is slightly different as well, because it's not just about dressing up at Halloween and all the rest of it. It's like, do we use practices from other cultures in our work? Can we use practices from other cultures, or should we only use, myself? Should I only use, I suppose, what you could call Celtic magic or Irish magic or something like that, because that's my ancestry and background. Should I only use that? Yeah, I have an interest. I'm a person, I'm interested in a lot of things. I said the other day, I'm interested by, like, the practice of voodoo. I'm fascinated by it. I think as a kid, seeing Live and Let Die and the voodoo and Baron Samedi, but wanting to look into it a bit deeper than just, the guy in the top hat and all that, wanting to look into it. I did have a copy of Maya Deren's book. I lent it out and lost it, as you do with your best books. But, wanting to look into it and understand it. Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Is it cultural appropriation if you're trying to understand it? Because New Orleans hoodoo is completely different from, they've said it's completely different from the rest of it. It's a mishmash. It's the Catholic stuff. It's Maya Laveau. It's a mix of Catholic saints and African traditions, mixing and creating this thing. And I don't practice it, but I look at it and say, well, I find that fascinating. I'm a student of history. I enjoy history. I love history. And I spoke to somebody the other day and I said, I'm really interested in the history of Persia, Iran, Iraq, the Middle East, before the rise of Islam, when it was the Persian Empire, Xerxes and all the rest of it. I'm interested in that. Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, these hit figures and all that. I'm interested. I like to learn about it. I like to understand and all of that. And having an understanding and having an interest, I don't think that's cultural appropriation, if you know what I mean. Maybe, alright, I'll give you an example. I'm sat here in a dressing gown. I own a kimono. I practiced martial arts for years. I've practiced yoga. Worked with chi, breathing exercise, all this sort of Far Eastern kind of stuff that's filtered through to Europe. I practiced that. I found a kimono quite a handy piece of clothing to wear. Actually, it's it can be comfortable. It's covering. It's that cultural appropriation. A friend of mine, his son, lives and works in Japan as an English teacher. I think he's got the utmost respect for it, but he would have started out, a bit of a Japanophile. But I think he's got the ultimate. I think he's got a lot of respect for the culture. So yeah, I think cultural appropriation, it's one of those terms that people throw around and just, boom, I'm going to throw that. Oh, that's cultural appropriation. Boom, that's it. The term is thrown out there. You can't discuss it. You can't engage with anything with it because it's just, boom, that's it. Boom, can't do anything. It's like, say, accusing someone of being a Nazi or a fascist. Or boom, going to throw that out there. That's it. It shuts the argument down. And I don't think it does. It shouldn't. Not that. We're all one culture. We're the culture of Earth. We're all, at this moment, planet-bound on this one planet. We all have differences. And maybe it's a thing. And living in Wales, we can be part of the United Kingdom, but we can also celebrate a Welsh identity. We have the Eisteddfod, we have our own language. Not that I really speak it, but various their own language, their own music, their own culture, their own history, and all of that is celebrated in Wales. And I think you can put Welsh on forms, but you're also classed as being British or part of the United Kingdom. So it's all sort of but you can be British and have a Welsh identity. Perhaps we're more open, perhaps more civilised, perhaps that's something we can do. But anyway, time's rolling on. 10 minutes 34. It might not upload, so I'm going to knock it on my head now and say, peace out, everybody. I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to put a point of view across.